Good evening, everybody. This is Adam Dubbin, and I am here with Florida Waters Weekly. This is a program that I have devised to sort of centralize information for the state of Florida and our water issues, and kind of have a way for me to interact with the people who are following along with me as I go and I document different things, such as the Sabal Trail Pipeline and many of the other water issues around Florida that I'll be covering in the coming year or two. So, in case you aren't familiar with me, like I said, my name is Adam Dubbin. I run Save Florida Waters Now, which is a documentary and an activist project. And the aim of my project is to bring all of Floridians together using the common bond of water. As you go throughout the state, we all have various water issues that are separate, but really they all come together, and uniting the people together will get a lot more of these issues solved than the current state of affairs. Excuse me. So I'll be talking more about that later. I also am a pipeline chaser, so I've been spending the last few weeks going around this area of Florida, Central Florida, and a little bit further north, and documenting what we're seeing out there. And so if you haven't seen my live videos, I can post, I'll put a link in here so that you can see them. Okay, so this format, this is my second show, so I'm still kind of figuring things out. But the format I'm going with now is I'm going to kind of talk a little bit, and then I want to read the comments. And, if you have questions, please put them in the comments, or if you have a comment, by all means do so. And so I'm going to look to be a little more interactive and be able to answer questions a little better than I did last time. So one of the other things I want to say about myself, so you may be thinking, okay, well, all right, Adam, you seem pretty cool, but, what do you know that brings anything to the table here? So I have a master's degree in environmental archaeology, and I've actually studied the formation of karst in a different context, but still it's related. And so I'm building on a lot of that. I also have another master's degree in communication sciences disorders. And I also attended the Howard T. Odom Field School this summer to kind of bring myself up to speed with the status of things here in Florida. And Dr. Robert Knight there, he's a great guy, and I learned a lot from him. So they are always giving their little field schools. They happen once every a few months, kind of as needed. So I will post a link to that in a little bit. But if you're interested in learning more about Florida Springs and really Florida's geology and hydrology as a whole, I strongly recommend coming down to Florida or going up to North Florida to take that course. So I've got, hello everybody. So hello Barbara, hello Maria, hello Jay, hey Jen, hey Rita, and hey Edna, you're in Bellevue. Thank you very much. Hey Kenny. Yeah, electing a new governor will help a lot in 2018. And as time goes by, and things start to clear up, I'll probably be talking about Gwen Graham and her candidacy for governor, and what we think is good about her. So yeah, Kenny brings a really good point up that we'll be talking about. When it comes to politicians, we've got to start being a little smarter about that. And yes, Jen, in fact, I'm going to give you a shout out at the end. I really appreciate what you did, and so we'll talk about that in a bit. Gay, thank you, Fort Walton Beach. Angie, Eugene, Oregon, thank you, Angie. And Troy. Hey, Troy, how you doing, buddy? Troy's doing great work down in South Florida with the Now Or Neverglades project, which is Now Or Neverglades, a declaration, which I'm going to be talking about at the end, actually. So what I want to start about first is, so here in the state of Florida, one of the biggest news items that I have is the demonstrations that we had yesterday in various cities around the state in solidarity with North Dakota and also against the Sabal Trail Pipeline. Many cities had some really good turnouts. Had marches through the cities. Here in Orlando we did, and I saw a few other places. So all the water protectors out there who participated in that, really deserve, a shake of the hand and a pat on the back, because we did well. And, we need to continue doing these things. Here in Orlando, the turnout wasn't quite as good as we've seen in the past. So we could improve there, but it may have been a time of year, time of day, day of the week thing that interfered. But all in all, I saw some really, really, really good things from all the different feeds. Tim Canova, he's a politician down south. He had a really good feed down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Sarasota, Gainesville, Tampa, Jacksonville, Tallahassee. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody who was involved with that. And it's a great thing, and hopefully we can continue to organize and get better at getting our voice heard. Okay, so another bit of news. This actually came through today, sort of breaking news, if you will. John S. Quarterman has been selected as the Suwannee Riverkeeper. And if you're not familiar with the Riverkeeper role, it's a part of a bigger organization called the Waterkeeper Alliance. And it's sort of it's a way to sort of formalize the care of these rivers, and also these people are river warriors. They're actually out there documenting things and providing the type of information we need to know if somebody is not in compliance or something is not right. They're basically our boots on the ground. I have not met John personally, but I have interacted with him a lot, and I've read a lot of his work. He runs a WWALS Watershed Coalition webpage, which is extremely informative, a very well vetted information, and I use it a lot when I am trying to clarify things. So this guy is he's a great addition to what we're trying to do here. Well, not addition. He's been here all along, but he's been now given an official role on the Suwannee River. So I just want to send a shout out to him and let you all know that that river is now in good hands. I also want to talk a little bit about Elon Musk coming to Central Florida, Claremont specifically. And that's actually going to be right down the road from where I am right now in Claremont. And so Solar City is going to be, the home roofing solar panel business that he's running. And Orlando is going to be the test city for it. So they're going to be setting up financing plans and things like that to help people transition into solar. And so that's an exciting thing here, especially here in the Sunshine State. So that's some really good news. I want to talk now a little bit about some not so great news. This recent fall, this autumn, has actually been very dry. And this dry weather, this lack of rain is a bit problematic. And so the Orlando Sentinel is reporting that it's the driest and the warmest in 6 years. So that's creating some conditions for fire. One of the other things that what concerns me about it is that the aquifer is not getting replenished at the rate that it normally is. So we're still drawing all of this water out, but there's no water going back into the aquifer. And when this happens, when the aquifer is not replenished appropriately, we start to see more sinkhole activity as well. So, the area that the pipeline is being built through is sinkhole country. And when the water table drops, the potentiometric surface is what the scientific word for that is. As that drops, that leaves a lot of open cavities in the ground, and the cavities are not as good of holding together when they're filled with air as when they're filled with water, because we all know that water is incompressible, whereas air is compressible, so it's not as sturdy. So that's something to worry about with things occurring as they are. I also want to talk a little bit about Apalachicola. So there's still a water war going on up there, and you may have heard of the whole water war thing with Georgia, but the water that is coming down those rivers and into Florida, especially up in the Panhandle, those are those are controversial waters, and that controversy is continuing. And there's actually an article here that was published in the Apalachicola and Carabel Times talking about it. And so the oyster beds are a big issue up there, but they're having a hard time getting the appropriate flow into the bay. And so I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I want to bring it up because as this show matures, I'm going to be talking more and more about Florida's water issues in general. And so I want to point that out because that is an example of a water issue that you may not have heard of because you're not really in that area. But people who are in that area are going to be concerned. So when I talk about uniting everybody together, one of the important things is that we all recognize the various issues that we all face in our localities. All right, so next thing I want to talk about really quick is there is an organization out there that is problematic to what we're trying to achieve here. And that organization is called Stand Up North Florida. And it's an interesting thing going on here. This guy is he's looking to kind of stir things up. I first heard about this guy through my buddy Dave Preston, and he brought me up to speed with what's going on. But essentially, this guy is trying to convince people that the South, the Lake Okeechobee area, is soaking up all of their rightful money for their local projects. I'm going to post a link in the comments here so you can follow up on it. But I want to bring it up. I'm not going to talk too much about it today, but I want to make you all aware that there are people out there, there are organizations out there that are working really hard to keep us divided, and this is one of them. So if you come across any nonsense from this guy, I would like to, I'd like you to omit it from your focus because this guy is he's complete nonsense. And if we need to talk about him more in the future, I certainly will. All right, I see some comments populating here, so let me take a look and see what we've got going on here. Hey, Burns, good to see you, buddy. Let's see. Padre Island, Barb, thank you. Thank you. I've been to Padre Island. It's a really nice area. I really enjoyed it. Let's see, and new Water Management Governing Board. Kenny, I didn't have a chance to bring myself up to speed on that, so that's something that I will get educated on and make sure that I talk about next time. Elizabeth, what did I do to my hair? I just let it grow. That's all. Hey, Rita, thank you too. Thank you, Edna. I'm not really all that vain, so the hair thing is not a huge issue. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Jem. So she said my video on levels of direct action and handling law enforcement was helpful. So I believe it was she that told me that she had an incident where she went out and talked to the cops and talked to the people at the site. And the thing that I'm telling people is that, you want to be peaceful, you want to be friendly, with the cops. You don't want to create static. You don't want to have an aura of trouble about you. You want to have positivity, emitting from you. And you're going to get a lot further when you're doing your peaceful protests or you're just doing your duty as a citizen. So, okay, so Kenny says that Tim Canoga is actually Fort Lauderdale, the Watchdogs. Thanks, Kenny. I appreciate that. All right. And Barbara, y'all know drought a lot better than we do. For us, it's more of a natural cycle. And had there not been, many millions of humans drawing out of the aquifer, the cycle would be perfectly in balance and we wouldn't have as big of an issue as we have. But here we are. And let's see. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Rita. And all right, so Jen wonders if sinkhole issues were in the EPA's retracted document against the Sabal Trail Pipeline. Still need to read. So my understanding about that is that I've heard some varying things, and I have not been able to corroborate it with anything objective. But what I have heard is that they have used old surveys, and the figure I've heard is 20 years old, which is way, way out of date for sinkholes. And the other thing I've heard is that they've actually omitted them from the environmental impact surveys. So as you read through those, please let us know, and I'll be sure to get that information out. And hey, Dale, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And hey, Troy, it was good to see you, buddy. Miami Coral Gables, yeah. Troy, that Tim Canova guy is. I like what I saw. I like what I saw. He was out and doing a thing. So what I'm going to move on to next is what I saw this week doing the Sabal Trail Pipeline chasing. So on Monday, I went to Center Hill, which is really, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. From where I am in Central Florida, basically it would take the Turnpike or Highway 50 west, and the Turnpike goes north, but it's sort of westerly as well. And then it's just kind of up there in the country near Webster and a few other places, north of Claremont, Maybelle, Muskogee, and really nice country up there. And I saw some various things, and you can see what I saw. I posted my my page with all the live feeds earlier here, and you can see what I saw. But there are various stages of construction, but they're mostly through up there, as I recall. And when I was coming back from there, I also observed where I had driven before when I had my buddies from Pasco County out with me. And what we saw was that the pipeline was put in really within a matter of days. So we saw the pipeline going into the ground 2 Wednesdays ago. And then the construction workers were gone by Friday for the holiday weekend. And I was back on Monday, and at that site, it was not only in the ground, but the dirt was patted over, the utilities were laid back in. So that is what I observed in Center Hill on Monday. Then on Wednesday, I went out to Denellen, which is closer to Ocala, and that's on the Withlacoochee River and also the Rainbow River near where Rainbow Springs is. A very nice area, very, very important waters, outstanding Florida waters, the Rainbow River is. So that's the highest level of protection that a body of water is afforded here in the state of Florida. So, we're talking about one of our crown jewels. Well, what I saw up there was, they're preparing more up there. Denellen is, they're starting to clear things out, but I see Denellen as sort of a weak point for people who want to get out and try to stop this Sabal Trail Pipeline. They are further behind than a lot of other places I've seen, especially in the more central Florida area, the Polk and Lake counties. All right, and then on Thursday I was at that demonstration, and I got to meet many, many great people. And again, it was really great to see everybody out there, and I'd like to see that we keep doing that. Now, while I was out, I saw a couple of interesting things these past couple of weeks, and I had an opportunity to follow up on them. So the first thing I want to talk about is there was a traffic cone, and there's a photograph taken of it with a radiation symbol on it, indicating that there was a radiation hazard going on. Well, I looked into it, and what apparently it is ground penetrating X-ray. So I'm not that familiar with ground penetrating X-ray. I'm more familiar with ground penetrating radar from archaeology, from archaeological science. But ground penetrating X-ray is a similar form of underground survey where they do use a radioactive source for creating the X-rays that penetrate the soil and provide them an image. Excuse me. So what we saw there was not really anything that's a hazard to passerby or a hazard to the workers. It's really just a standard, field environmental assessment piece of equipment. So I want to make sure that we all understand that that's really, we're dealing with a benign thing there. So that picture got shared a lot, and a lot of people were very interested in what was going on with that. So I wanted to set the record straight. So we don't really, that's not anything we need to worry about. So I want to make sure that we're not fear mongering on the things that we don't need to fear monger on. And the other thing I want to talk about are the wires that we saw. We saw a pair of wires that were running parallel to each other towards the area where they were getting ready to drill under the Withlacoochee River. And I first got a picture. I got actually a series of 3 pictures of these cables from Connie Bryant, and I couldn't really get enough context from that picture to figure out what was going on with it. So when I went up there, we got to see them, and they looked a lot like Cat5 cables, so like Ethernet cables, but maybe not quite as thick. I wasn't quite sure what they were. And a gentleman named William Pomeroy sent me a message, and he told me that they're used for the guidance system for the drill head. And so there's a couple kind of guidance systems that are out there, but this particular guidance system is I looked it up, and it's a DC surface coil type of thing. So it's probably not Cat5 cable, as this is probably unshielded, whatever it is. But again, the cables that we saw are just standard procedure. There's nothing special about them. There's nothing to be concerned about. That's just standard, like I said, construction stuff. So it's always good to dispel these things that are mysterious to us, because even somebody who is well educated can look at something like that and say, well, that seems out of place, and why is that happening? And when we're dealing with a situation where it seems like it's always worst case scenario, you kind of start getting used to assuming the worst. So one of the things I want to do is sort of work on that and making it so that we're not always assuming the worst. So there we go. We've learned a little bit about ground survey with ground penetrating radar or ground penetrating X-ray. And we've also learned about horizontal directional drilling and how they guide it, the guidance system. I have a link here that I'll go ahead and throw into the comments here, just in case you all want to look at it. But that's just a little bit of information on how this stuff works. All right, so I'm going to take a break here to look in the comments and see what I've got going on here. Okay, so I've got some calls. All right. Okay, Pam. Well, I don't, the 2 weeks notice thing, I understand, especially with work, that being important. Some of these crop up a little quicker. I think this last one, though, had been planned for a while. So I will certainly make sure that I keep in touch with you on that. And then Barbara, where's the main camp going to be set up, and when should people begin descending to stand in solidarity? Okay, so let me talk about that real quick. So we have 2 main camps in Florida already. They're all in North Florida, or they're both in North Florida right now. One on the Suwannee River, one on the Santa Fe. The Suwannee one is the Sacred Water Camp, and the other one is Water is Life Camp. And both of them are doing pretty well. We're also opening a 3rd one in Levy County called Turtle Mound Camp. Those details are to be determined. The 2 camps I just named are open for business. So let's see if I can hook you up with, okay, there's one, and there we go. So those are the Facebook links to the 2 respective camps that are up, running, and on firing all cylinders. So, are they permitted? Well, the locations. If you go to the Facebook pages, it'll show you the locations. Neither of them are in a city. One is close to Live Oak. The other is close to Branford. Polly, they're not permitted because they're private property, so they don't need to be permitted. That's a real big problem here in Florida, though, the permitting issue. Let's see. Let me get back, though. Okay, so I answered the main camp. And then we're in the process of opening a camp in Osceola County, and that's still pending. We have a couple of candidates. Unfortunately, none of them are truly what we need, but they will serve their purpose if necessary. But we're still looking. So if you are somebody who's in that area, somebody looking to help out, that is a way that you can certainly lend a hand, help us find a spot to have camp. We want it to be close to the Kissimmee River, and we also want to be within striking distance of Lake Okeechobee. We want to, since this is devoted to being a permanent camp, we need to be devoted to permanent water issues. And so the pipeline will finish. Whether we stop it or not, that's going to stop, at least for a little bit. So when we have time to divert our focus, one of the areas I want to focus on is Lake Okeechobee and the issues that South Florida is having. So that's where we're at with that. Okay, so Jen, any talk about private spring owners suing for at least injunctive relief pending more safety research? That, I don't know if that's happened, and to be honest with you, now I'm not a lawyer. I may be related to lawyers and have a lot of lawyer friends, but I'm not that great with dealing with the law. That sounds, though, to me like it would cost a lot of money to litigate, and it's probably cost prohibitive for springs owners, especially going up against companies with unlimited war chests full of money. So I have a feeling that they are probably kind of helpless there, but that's something worth looking into, and there may be some people already looking into that. Let's see, and I need to find out about rideshare from Bellevue. So I have Edna O'Quillan who wants to find out about a rideshare from Bellevue, Florida, to the Sacred Water Camp in Nisqually County. So if anybody can help Edna out, and Edna, are you part of the rideshare? There we go. You're very welcome, Barbara. I just posted the link to the rideshare group, Edna. So I hope that helps you out. All right. So you have Honey Springs. All right, let's see. All right. True that, Jan. Right on. Have any lawyers stepped up to volunteer assistance? That's more in the court of Marilee Gibson, who is the representative for the Sierra Club here in Florida, and that they have a pending lawsuit that's open. So we have lawyers involved. In fact, one of the things that we're trying to get people involved with is getting out and documenting, because if you can go out and document a violation or document a non-compliance, that's one thing that we can add to the lawsuit, one thing that can give the lawsuit more teeth. So there is the litigation pending. I don't know the exact specifics. Again, like I said, law is not my strong point. So the exact specifics are unknown, but I can work on getting that information and spreading that. And Jen here says that she can do paralegal. So if you're really savvy using LexisNexis, or you have access to the type of databases and the type of data sources that are required to make that happen, you're more than welcome to pitch in and help us out with this cause. Okay, so moving on, I want to talk about now, and this is something I'm going to talk about a lot because it's important, and one of the things I see about this is that this being able to do what I'm about to talk about is so simplistic and so basic that if we can't make this happen, I'm really worried about all of our movements. And what I want to talk about is the Now or Neverglades petition. All right, so the Now or Neverglades petition is basically a petition, a declaration, where you pledge that you're in support of 200 plus Everglades scientists who believe that increased storage, treatment, and conveyance of water south of Lake Okeechobee is essential. Folks, I apologize for that. I had some sort of technical difficulties. I figured, broadcasting on my computer here, hardwired, everything would be fine. But Unfortunately, that's not the case. So I'm going to wait a minute here and see if we can repopulate, get some of our viewers back. Um, so let me do something here really quick to help that. But I apologize for that. And technology is a fickle beast, is it not? So let's see what I can do here real quick. All right, I'm going to wait just, like I said, wait just a minute here. Let's see. Sorry about the dead air here. Okay, well, I've got three. All right, 11. There we go. I've got some people back. Excellent. That's enough. So when I was last talking, I was talking about the Now or Neverglades declaration. So what I've got here, I've got some laminated sheets here with the Now or Neverglades declaration, the text for it, and I've got also some signing sheets. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about why the Now or Neverglades declaration, in my mind, is so important. What we're talking about here is a grassroots effort to step up to the powers who may be and make our voices heard. And so this is led by some really great people, including my buddy Kenny Hinkle Jr. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get signatures on a petition to compel Senator Joe Negron to send the water south of the lake instead of allowing it to go out to the coastal areas. So the reason why I put so much weight on this is it's so simple to do. You simply just have to go, and I'm going to put the link here because none of you have any excuses why you haven't signed this. So I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat here. Nobody here, if you're following me, if you're watching me, if you care about anything I'm doing, anything I'm saying, you will sign the Now or Neverglades petition. So please sign this. It takes you 10, 15 seconds, and you've made a huge difference. Excuse me. So, and I put some weight on this is because if we can't do this, then I don't really see how we're going to be able to do other things either. How we're going to be able to mobilize and force to get out and make a difference. So you don't have to be a Floridian to sign the Now or Neverglades Declaration. I don't even know if you have to be an American, but if you sign it, it's still a help. Doesn't matter, sign it. So I'm going to say it again. Sign the Now or Neverglades Declaration. You're going to be hearing me say that a lot in the coming months. So make me proud, make yourself proud, do the right thing, sign it. So last thing I want to get at here, and it kind of sucks that we got cut off because I really wanted this to be part of the main feed, but let's see, am I still breaking up? Is that gay? Okay, I apologize. There must be something wrong with my broadband here. So in closing here, I first want to acknowledge Jennifer Michael. Jennifer was generous in donating me some gas and toll money for this week, and I am extremely grateful. And she's a single mother and a teacher. You know, she has meager means, but she felt compelled to help make a difference, and so she reached out to me, and I really appreciate that. And I'm not really trying to get out and raise a ton of money here, but I do need some help when it comes to all the travel that I do and a lot of the things that I'm putting a lot of time, a lot of my own personal time into. So I do have a donation set up, and let's see. And so if you are inclined, I won't hold it against you. But if you would like to donate to me, I would greatly appreciate it, and you will be recognized. I guarantee that. I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. So that's kind of an ugly URL, but it is what it is. And all right. Okay, so thank you, Jen. I really appreciate it. I hope you're watching. If you're not, um, I hope you watch this later. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about are some other acknowledgments as well. So doing this little show, going out and doing the documenting and doing the things that I'm doing. I probably wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for a few people who kind of either led me along the ways with some advice or maybe kind of inspired me by watching them. And I just kind of want to point out a few of those people. So one of them is Greg Smithwick out in Pasco County with So Local Pasco. He's a podcaster, and he's actually a radio guy from way back. And he's been a guy that I've been able to sort of bounce things back and forth with. He's also got a great podcast. I mean, he's doing great stuff. And let me see if I can get his. There we go. That's him in the there, and he's been really helpful. And so I want to send a shout out to him because without him, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. Also, Corey Cottrell, he's a guy that I would say I kind of watch and I'm inspired by. This guy's kind of killing it with his thing, and his message is based on positivity and things like that. And so he's the Baboon Room, and I like what he's doing a lot too. These two guys, watching them and talking to them and interacting with them has been really helpful for me, and I want to make sure that they know that I'm grateful, not just for what they do and what they've done for me, but for who they are. And that's about it. I'm sorry. Then the other people I want to mention are the local folk who have been putting so much energy into organizing and making things happen, and that includes Katie Wolferman, Elena Marshall. There's actually, I could name so many people. I really shouldn't start the list because I'm going to inevitably leave somebody off. But we've got a great group here, and hopefully that group grows. It's been great. We've got a lot of great positivity. So unfortunately, I got some wind taken out of my sails with the technical issues. So I don't really have any last parting questions here in the comments. But I want to thank you all for joining me today. And I want to thank you all for your patience as well as I sort of grow into this little show and this whole movement. We're all in a constant state of growth, always in a constant state of learning. And that's something that I have always focused on in my life. So, the evolution of this documentary, the evolution of this movement, the evolution of Safe Water Waters Now is in part a learning process. And so hopefully I can get a bunch of you to follow along with me as I learn and you learn as well. And together we can become more informed. And by being more informed, we'll have knowledge. And we all know that knowledge is power. With that power, we can start making some changes and start making this world better, not just for ourselves, but for the people who come after us.